I watched them from across the table laughing, whispering, touching, and that's when I knew. My husband and my best friend, they weren't hiding it anymore. He thought I didn't see the way he looked at her. She thought I didn't hear the way she giggled at his stupid jokes, the ones I used to laugh at. That night, something inside me broke, but not in the way they expected. No tears, no screaming, no breakdown, just silence. Because I already knew what I was going to do. My name is Elise. I'm 36, married for 8 years, and I was stupid enough to believe love was enough. I met Daniel in college. He was charming, passionate, the kind of guy who could make a room stop just by walking in. And I was the safe one, the dependable one. I worked in HR. He was in real estate. Big dreams, bigger ego. We married 2 years after graduation. And for a while, life felt good. We bought a townhouse, got a dog. I thought we were building something real. Until she came back into our lives. Samantha. We had been inseparable in high school. Sleepovers, secrets, college applications. But somewhere along the way, we grew apart. She traveled. I stayed local. She dated wild guys. I settled down. Then one day, she messaged me out of the blue. Hey stranger, I'm back in town. Coffee soon? And like an idiot, I said yes. She slid into my life like she'd never left. Complimented my home, my marriage, my clothes. And behind those perfect lashes and glossy lips was someone waiting for a weakness. At first, it was small things. Her hanging around too often. Showing up just to chat, but staying when Daniel came home. Then it was the looks. The long, quiet looks across the room. The inside jokes I wasn't part of. The laughter that lingered too long. One night, I walked into the kitchen and saw her hand resting on his shoulder. Too long, too casual. And Daniel, he just smiled. I think you're imagining things, he said. But I wasn't. And deep down, neither was he. It happened on a Tuesday. Rain, traffic, a late work meeting. I came home and the house was too quiet. No dog, no music, no dishes in the sink. Then I heard it, laughter. From upstairs. I froze. I didn't want it to be true. I didn't want to believe what I already knew. But I walked up the stairs anyway. One step, then another. The guest bedroom door was half open. And inside, Samantha, in one of my robes. Daniel, shirtless, holding a glass of wine. They looked at me, not with guilt, but with annoyance, like I had ruined their night. Daniel just said, "This isn't working anymore, Elise." I stood there for a moment, waiting for the tears, waiting to scream, to throw something, to collapse. But nothing came, because something inside me had already died long ago. Daniel walked past me as if I were a ghost. Samantha tried to act sorry. "Elise, I didn't mean." I held up my hand. "Don't." She blinked. But don't. I walked downstairs, picked up my purse, grabbed my keys, and as I stepped out into the rain, I smiled for the first time in weeks. Not because I was free, but because I finally had a reason. Over the next few days, I moved like a shadow. Quiet, calm, focused. Daniel thought I'd just leave. He didn't realize everything was in my name. The townhouse? Mine before the marriage. Inherited from my grandmother. The business he ran? Registered under my name. I did the legal filings. He didn't care back then. The accounts? Joint, but he never checked who really controlled them. So while he played house with Samantha, I made my own plans. With lawyers, bankers, and a few old friends in real estate. 2 weeks later, Daniel came home to a letter taped to the front door. Eviction notice. He laughed. Cute. Then saw the signature. My lawyer's. The property title attached. My name. His face changed. He called me screaming. I didn't answer. I was in a meeting. With a buyer. Selling the house. Cash deal. Done in 48 hours. By the time he realized what was happening, his keycard didn't work anymore. Next, the bank accounts. He woke up to declined credit cards. His gym membership? Cancelled. The car? Repossessed. Insurance? Gone. Because every policy was under my signature. And now revoked. He called again. Are you insane? You're ruining everything. I finally answered. No, Daniel. I'm fixing everything. 3 months later, he and Samantha were renting a studio apartment over a nail salon. He worked part-time at a friend's agency. She left town after they broke up. Guess betrayal isn't sexy when you're broke. And me? I moved into a new place. Quiet. Clean. Mine. No noise. No fake smiles. Just peace. People think betrayal breaks you. They expect screaming, drama, chaos. But sometimes, the best revenge is silence. The kind that watches everything collapse from a front row seat. And when they ask you why, you just smile and say, because I could. It started slowly. A few missed payments. An argument over groceries. Over gas money. Then I heard through a mutual friend that Daniel was working as a leasing agent. Not even full-time. Commission only. The man who once bragged about 6-figure flips and private equity deals was handing out apartment flyers in strip malls. I didn't laugh, because I wasn't done. Let me tell you something about betrayal. It doesn't just hurt. It rewires you. It pulls apart everything you thought was solid. And if you survive it, if you stand up again, you come back sharper, colder, stronger. I started taking care of myself again. Woke up early, hit the gym, cleaned my diet. No more mindless waiting at the door. No more putting him first. I went to therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to make sure I never let someone like him break me again. A few weeks after the fallout, Samantha tried texting me. Can we talk? No greeting. No apology. Just 3 words. I didn't reply. Then she sent another. He's not who I thought he was. There it was. The beginning of her regret. I waited 3 days, then wrote 1 line. Neither are you. Blocked. Deleted. Sometimes closure isn't a conversation. It's a locked door they never get to knock on again. The funny thing about losing everything is realizing how much of it you never needed. I didn't miss the fake dinners, the cold silences, the pretend intimacy. I missed myself. So I started writing again. Short stories. Nothing fancy. But I posted them online under a pen name. And one of them went viral. It was called The Woman Who Took Everything. Readers begged for more. They didn't know it was my story. But that's the best kind of revenge. Telling your story to the world while the villains fade in the background. Months passed. Then came the message from our old neighbor, Janice. Hey, is it true Daniel got evicted? Turns out, he was months behind on rent. Landlord finally had enough. Samantha had left 2 weeks before that for a guy she met at her yoga class. Daniel was left with a duffel bag, 2 broken laptops, and no car. I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. But then I remembered the night he told me, this just isn't working anymore. And how he said it while holding a wine glass in the robe I had bought. Yeah, no sympathy left. One night, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. Inside were 3 folded sheets. The first page said, I messed up. It was from Daniel. The rest of it? A pathetic mix of excuses and half regrets. He blamed stress, loneliness, his job, me. Not once did he mention Samantha by name. And at the very bottom, if you ever want to talk, you know where I am. I burned the letter, then poured a glass of wine. Not the cheap stuff he used to bring home. Real wine. Good wine. The kind you buy when you no longer care who's watching. A few days later, I got a call from an old classmate. His name was Julian. We'd worked on a student project together in college. He'd seen one of my stories online. Figured out it was me. Reached out. We met for coffee. Then lunch. Then dinners that turned into midnight drives. He listened. Not the way Daniel used to listen, halfway, distracted, checking his phone. Julian looked me in the eye. And when I told him what happened, he didn't flinch. He said, "You're terrifying." In the best way. And he meant it. I ran into Daniel at a grocery store one evening. I almost didn't recognize him. He looked thinner. Eyes sunken. Hair grown out and badly dyed. He stopped mid-aisle when he saw me. I was with Julian. Laughing. Holding a bottle of wine. Daniel stared. I smiled. He opened his mouth, maybe to speak, maybe to beg. I turned to Julian and said, loud enough to hear, "Let's go, love. I don't talk to strangers." And just like that, we walked past him. I never looked back. Revenge doesn't always come in fire and fury. Sometimes, it's in silence. In the way your absence echoes louder than your words ever did. In the way they realize too late that they handed you the match. And you built an empire from the ashes. I didn't get even. I got everything. Julian and I weren't perfect, but we were real. And after years of emotional drought, real felt like rain in the desert. He didn't try to fix me. He didn't promise me forever. He just showed up. Every day. We started working together, freelance projects at first, then a small publishing label for indie authors. I edited. He marketed. We built something together, something honest. No secrets. No lies. And for the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I received a message from a mutual friend. It was a screenshot of a post. Samantha, lying in a hospital bed. Captioned, "When your new guy hits you and vanishes with your rent money, maybe the universe is telling you something." I stared at it for a long time, not because I wanted her to suffer, but because she finally got to feel what she gave me. Betrayal, not whispered in a guest room, but written across her body in bruises and broken trust. She had commented underneath her own post. All I ever wanted was peace. Peace. From the woman who tore mine apart. I didn't reply, didn't comment, didn't even screenshot it. Some things don't deserve space in your gallery or your life. Then came his final attempt. An email. Subject line, "Business proposal plus closure?" I shouldn't have opened it, but I did. Inside was a PDF attachment, a real estate development plan. Something half-baked, scribbled in desperation. His message read, "Elise, I know you don't owe me anything, but I've hit a wall. I need capital. I think we can rebuild something, together. Like old times. We were a good team once." I laughed. Out loud. Not because it was funny, but because he still didn't get it. He thought I'd been his assistant. His back office fixer. His shadow. He never realized. I was always the one carrying the whole damn house on my shoulders. I clicked delete, then clicked it again from the trash folder. Some men don't need closure. They need consequences. 1 year after the divorce, I got invited to a women's business summit. Julian had submitted my name behind my back. They wanted me as a speaker. Topic: How to survive betrayal and build a brand. I stood in front of 300 women, told them my story. Not the names, not the dirty parts, just the truth. About how betrayal doesn't define you. How you can lose everything and still rebuild. After the talk, a woman in the audience walked up to me with tears in her eyes. She whispered, "Your story saved my life." I was going to give up. Now I'm going to fight. That was the moment I realized. My revenge wasn't the ending. It was just the middle. My real ending wasn't taking everything. It was giving other women the roadmap to rise. Months passed. Julian and I moved into a new apartment with big windows and white floors. He proposed on a beach at sunrise, just the two of us, barefoot in the sand. I didn't say yes right away. I cried, not because I was unsure, but because I had never been asked without strings, without expectations, without lies hiding behind a smile. When I finally whispered yes, it wasn't just to him. It was to me. To trust. To hope. To peace. Betrayal changes you. It cuts deep. But it also carves space inside you, space to rebuild. People think revenge is fire. Explosions. Shouting. Courtroom drama. But sometimes, revenge is soft. It's success whispered in a quiet kitchen. It's a name they hear on the radio and wince at because they know they left you in pieces. And yet, you came back whole. Daniel still lives in the same town. I hear he's bouncing from job to job, always trying to prove he's not the man everyone knows he is. Samantha deleted her social media. Maybe she's healing. I hope so. I really do. Because as much as I burned bridges, I also lit lanterns. For the woman I used to be. For the woman who's still out there, waiting to walk away from betrayal and into her own damn story. If you're listening to this, maybe that woman is you. It wasn't a big ceremony. No rented hall. No flower walls. No seating charts. Just 20 people, barefoot on a cliffside. The ocean behind us. A soft wind. A promise. Julian and I exchanged vows under golden skies. No fanfare. No filters. Just truth. He held my hand like it was the only thing keeping him grounded. I smiled and whispered, "I never thought I'd say these words again." He replied, "You never had to say them for anyone who didn't deserve them." And I knew in that moment, this wasn't just a second chance. It was the real first. After the wedding, we hosted a small dinner at our new home. Glass doors open. Candles lit. Laughter in the air. Then I saw him. Across the street. Daniel. Standing alone. No coat. No invitation. Just watching. He looked smaller than I remembered. Thinner. Older. He didn't wave. Neither did I. But I could tell. He came hoping I'd notice. That I'd need him to notice. But I didn't. Not anymore. Julian stood beside me, holding a dish towel. Want me to say something? I shook my head. No. He came to see if he still mattered. Let's not prove him right. A week after the wedding, I opened my desk drawer. Inside was a letter I had written the night Daniel betrayed me. Not to him. To myself. It read, *, don't let this destroy you. Let it refine you. Let it wake you up. *. I almost threw it out. But instead, I framed it. Not because I needed to remember the pain, but because I needed to honor the woman who survived it. My stories, the ones I wrote during my worst nights, had become something more. They were being adapted into a podcast, then an anthology. A publishing house reached out, asked if I'd write a book. I called it. She didn't burn down the world, she rebuilt it. It hit the bestseller list in 3 weeks. Julian popped champagne in the kitchen while I sat on the floor and cried. Not because I was proud, but because I had finally learned. You don't need revenge to feel powerful. Sometimes, you just need to write your way out. I saw Samantha once more. She was in line at a pharmacy. Hair cut short. No makeup. Holding a child's hand. She didn't see me, but I saw her. And something strange happened. I didn't feel rage. I didn't feel hate. I felt nothing, because I had finally left that chapter behind. For good. Forgiveness doesn't always mean saying it out loud. Sometimes it's walking past someone who once ruined your life, and realizing they have no power over you anymore. If you're still listening to my story, if you've made it this far, let me tell you what no one told me. You are allowed to outgrow people who don't know your worth. You are allowed to heal in silence, to build in the dark, to rise without explaining why you were ever on your knees. Revenge isn't always the loud slam of a door. Sometimes it's the quiet click of a lock they'll never get a key to again. To every woman who was told she was too emotional, to every person who loved someone that used their kindness as weakness, to anyone who was ever betrayed and blamed for being broken, this is for you. You don't need to scream. You don't need to burn it all down. You just need to walk away. And never look back. Let them wonder. Let them regret. You? You're already free. And freedom? That's the sweetest revenge of all.